Hello, ladies, and welcome to the Beauty Shaman. So today I'm going to be interviewing Dr. DONESE Worden, who is a naturopathic medical doctor and founder of the Dr. Zen skincare line, which I carry on my website and I really love. But today we're going to be talking, well, first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Worden, for joining me.
I love speaking with you. It's always great, Suzanne. You're very knowledgeable in what you do. I'm honored to be on the show.
So are you. I just said before we turned it on the camera, I'm like, oh my God, I talk to you all day. Like, I just love how much wisdom you have. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the best non-surgical anti-aging strategies. So this is a huge subject. It is like Googled 135 million times. I mean, it's a really big question. What are the best non-surgical? I'm getting the feeling that women don't want to go under the knife and use toxins. Do you think that's true?
I think that's true. I think they're also looking at what's out there on media and this and that, and they think they have to look a certain way, and they're judging themselves very harshly. And I think we need to stop that, first of all,
Yes.
about graceful aging. And first of all, number one is there is no such thing as anti-aging. We are going to age.
Yes.
We want to age well. We want to fight that as much as we can, internally and externally, feel good, look as good as we can. But for the women that are, and men will say, but for our listeners that are looking for, what are the things I can do to kind of hold that back as long as I can, so I can be who I want to be and do what I want to do? That's who listens to me and to you. Those that want to do go under the knife, that's okay. I mean, if that's exactly what they want, but as long as they're educated. I have patients that have done that. They've come back within a year and we're working all over again, because the skin wasn't prepared. It was still too thin. It got thinner, starting to drag again. It only lasted a year, and they somehow don't look like themselves. Their noses are wider, all these things. And they're regretting it because it's not a fix-all thing. Surgery is not.
Well, I think that's really true. And we're definitely going to get into all these subjects. So we're going to break it down into the best internal, slower aging. Maybe I should say that instead of anti-aging. Age slower and best internal. And then we're going to do a second video on the best external. So we're going to break this down just to kind of, and there's going to be a lot of bleed over into both, because you can't take your life and chop it into sections, right? I mean, life is kind of all one, not to get too airy-fairy here. But let's start with the best internal things that we can do to slow the aging process, to really look and feel our best. Let's go with the internal. What would you tell a woman who wants to start internally?
Right. So number one thing I would say is looking at calorie restrictions. Since the 1930s, we've known about that. It extends the telomeres. It helps us live longer, helps us live in better health. And now there's a million ways to do that, but calorie restriction is very, very big. And that goes along the line with fasting. If you're a person who can fast, I do a water only fast twice a week. I mean, all day it's water. And guess what? I feel great on those days. It's the day I start eating again that I might have that slump again. So it's what can you do, and working with yourself as an individual and with your doctors. But if you restrict calories, just not eating so much, even a few days a week, that right there slows down that aging process and helps us in many ways.
Wow, I could feel my whole body going, what? Like, not eating, But now what about people who are super fit? I mean, so I'm going to just get a little personal here, but I lift weights. So if I don't eat, and then I go to the gym and I work out for an hour, I feel at the end of working out, I feel like I'm going to fall over. I need to eat something. So what would you say? Would you say on those days, just don't work out, or what would you say?
That would be the better days. Although I will tell you that the leaders in the field in calorie restriction and in fasting, they're bodybuilders. They're working with our Navy SEALs, with the rebreathers, with our elite Army athletes, with NASA. And these guys, every day, it's a physical challenge. And so they're knowing calorie restriction and fasting are good for those guys too. The general rule when you're going to the gym, though, you might want something, if you need something to have that energy to get a good workout, it's usually coffee or green tea or some kind of stimulant. Then you get through that workout. Afterwards, the thought was you got to have protein within an hour, right? Protein within an hour so that the muscles can build back again once you broke them down. You can still have in calorie restriction protein within an hour. You're just in that day not eating as much as you usually would, right? Or you can say on the days that I'm working out are the days that I'm going to eat more, right? So I rotate. Like right now, I'm in a cycle 2 days a week of water only, right? And I don't eat until noon and I don't eat past 6 p.m. So I've narrowed my window. I'm going to do this for several months and then I'm going to switch it up again. I'm a proponent that the body likes little shocks once in a while to wake up and do things. So next month it might be, weekend only, maybe a 4-day water fast within the month, something, or calorie restriction 2 days a week. So just changing it. But what we do know, if we want to be younger, fitter, healthier, our skin included, calorie restriction and fasting are great ways to go about it. And it doesn't cost you anything. In fact, it costs less because you're eating less.
Well, I totally agree. And I love that. I love the not eating till noon. I do that consistently. And I think that's, for me, I love that. I feel like I'm not as hungry, but I have to be sure that I eat enough at night, like for dinner, so that I don't wake up in the middle of the night hungry, because I'm probably on the high end of active. So I think but everybody's got to figure out their own body, I think. But it definitely helps my body age slower. Yeah.
Right. And blood sugar plays a big part into that. Some people need to eat more often. They need to graze because they're hypoglycemic. And so if you get them to a better state where they don't have to do that, they do need to graze. Most people don't need to eat after 6, but there are a few like yourself that may say, if I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night hungry, something's off. Either you're not digesting or assimilating the food properly, or you actually need more. So
right, trying to figure it out. I'm in the middle of that. That's another discussion.
That's good. That's good.
It happens a lot, so I've got an issue, obviously.
Right.
Okay, so what other internal? So obviously, as we're getting older, okay, my audience is women over 40, 45, 50. We're all going through menopausal changes and our skin is starting to sag, like, oh, holy cow, right? Like it's the biggest shocker, right? How many 50-year-old women are like, oh my God, what happened? And right, so we're trying to figure out internally, what can I do with all of this starting to happen?
Yes. Well, one of the reasons that when we go through menopause is that the estrogen drops, and estrogen is very important for our skin to stay moisturizer, stay taut and all that. So a lot of the changes that we see all of a sudden in the 50s and 60s is due to that drop in those hormones. Now, that doesn't mean everybody goes to get on hormones, because there is a risk there. It's a risk factor compared to those hormones. It's very individualized. You have to work with a specialist to know whether that's an option for you. However, those patients, and like myself, that don't want to do the hormones for many different reasons, what can we do? You got to realize that the adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys, they're the only producer of DHEA, or the major producer of DHEA, the beginning hormone that makes estrogen and testosterone and all our hormones. It starts with DHEA. And if the adrenal glands are running from the bear from stress, then they are making cortisol to run from the bear for survival, and they're not making DHEA, which means your hormones are going to plummet, which you're going to see it in your skin. So the first thing is learn how to meditate, pray, do something where you're not in that stress response, because you're not making DHEA, and without those hormones, you're going to see it on your skin. You're going to notice it. A lot of places, but you will notice it on the skin. So supporting the adrenal glands, good old vitamin C, fantastic for cross-linking. It's good for the skin. It's good for the adrenal glands. It doesn't cost much. I love it. And I like the pectins. There's modified citrus pectin. There's okra pectin. There's a lot of different pectins, and those in the studies are showing us a lot of benefit as well. So I'm a really big fan of the pectins, CoQ10, fish oil. These are things that have been studied. Acetyl L-carnitine, which is a particular protein that's good for the skin. Everybody kind of knows about biotin for skin, hair, and nails. That's a no-brainer. But and zinc. Zinc helps with DNA repair to help us live longer, and helps the skin, and it helps slow the aging process. So these are all basics. If you get a really super duper, really good multivitamin mineral, you're doing a lot of great things. But if you add on a CoQ10, if you add on fish oil, probiotics, obviously that microbiome's huge here, which is a whole nother discussion. I just got back not too long ago from San Diego. I was actually on the news, Good Morning San Diego, that morning, about the microbiome movement with skincare and dermatology, and the who's who of people putting together products, making products, trying to figure it out for skin and aging. It was all about the microbiome. What we know now is we don't know enough yet. Yeah. That's the take home from the conference, but we're close. And we know we may get to the point where we know certain strains for certain things, and everyone will start putting those into our into our skincare. And we're close, and I'll be on it as soon as I find one that I think is efficacious, that really works. I'm not going to do something we were talking about before the show, Suzanne. I'm not going to put something in a product just because it's the newest, hottest marketing thing.
Right.
Just not going to happen on my end. I've got to know it works. I got to know it has the science, and then you'll start seeing it in at least my line.
Well, absolutely. And I love that. And I'm like that too. We're both the same. We both want to have a lot of integrity with what we're doing. Really give great stellar advice, because there's not a lot of great advice out there. I mean, people are just trying to sell stuff, and I hate that, but I want to be a voice of reason, as you are. One of the things with the microbiome, I'm glad you brought this up. I did the makeup of a woman who is one of those who's a specialist in that field, and she goes around speaking kind of all over the world about the microbiome. And so I did her makeup, and we got to chatting, and I was very interested, and even after, when I was listening to the interview, that the microbiome, if it's off, like just what that causes in your hormones, in your skin, like everything you just said. And she said they have seen, like, by really correcting people's biome, what they've witnessed, like even like for me with kind of perpetual stomach issues that I've kind of always worked on, she's like, oh, that can be completely corrected just with the microbiome. So this stuff is, I find super fascinating. I'm like, wow, I was never told, that's kind of not what we've been told. There's all these other messages out there around that. I mean, let's talk about a little bit more about the microbiome. I think this is very fascinating and something that women, I think, really need to hear more about.
Right. Well, first of all, as naturopathic medical doctors, we're all about the gut. Health begins in the gut. We've always been about the gut. We know embryologically we flip wrong side out. And so a lot of the same cells that are inside your GI are what is on your skin. So if your gastrointestinal is upset, you'll see it on your skin. So the first place when somebody comes in with skin issues, problems, we look to the gut. We always have. So everybody's on the microbiome now, and we're going, this is great. I'm so glad the news media and everybody and researchers are getting excited, and we're going, of course, we've been teaching this for 60 years or more. It's about the gut health. We're learning more through the research. And that's why I went to the microbiome conference with oncology in Boston recently as well. We don't know enough yet, but I will tell you, Big Pharma is all over it, because they know if you fix the gut, if you get those bugs working, everything gets better, from cardiovascular, diabetes, skin, anti-aging, you name it, arthritis, anything that has inflammation. They know that. So that's why there's a lot of interest in it yet, but we have yet to identify exactly which strains do what. We've got a couple that we think in the GI anyway, that's farther ahead than the derm is, but we're going to get there. And there's enough interest and money from Big Pharma that the research will continue forward.
And this is great because kind of catering again to the audience. I mean, for women, older women, I think as we hit, I'm 53. And when I hit the 50s, man, I felt like a dish rag. Like I just had given to everybody, right? Like my kids, I'm a single parent. I mean, you were too, right? Like you just give and give and give and give and give and give. And then you wake up one day and you look in the mirror and you're like, what happened, right? Everything kind of, it starts to implode. And so I think older women are really keen, like, wait a minute, I really want to take care of my body. I want to take care of my internal body. And, I think that, obviously you know this, but the skin is the largest organ. So
the organ,
the largest organ. So how can they tend to that? And I think you brought up the oils. Now, let's talk a little bit about oils and collagen and that sort of thing, because I think those are big things. Like I was just in Costco, and there was like all of these collagen building vital nutrient things, and I was like, God, I don't know if that works. Like maybe we just need to focus on the gut. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, collagen may be playing a little bit into the gut. And so when that became very big, I mean, it's come through a lot of influencers have brought that forward with a lot of products. Now everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. First, I don't think it can harm from what I can see, but when I dug into the research and I saw what we know so far, it's not as extensive as I would like it to be. Do I think it potentially might be helpful? Maybe. But do we know enough yet for me to jump on board and tell everybody that they should be taking collagen? In my book, we're not there yet. But what I would tell your listeners is try it. If you feel or see a difference, fine, go ahead. You know, we've got amino acids, we've got, you know, good proteins. You can get collagen from bone broth. Twice a week, I put a whole organic chicken in a crock pot with the bones in it and all that. And that's part of the bone broth. I'm getting my collagen from that. But I like it from natural sources as much as possible. I may maybe jump on the bandwagon with collagen in the near future, but right now I haven't. Like I said, I don't think it's bad, but I'm not convinced it's the only thing out there that is going to help us in many ways.
Well, I agree.
Right?
And I think we are a whole people. You know, I think we're so, I think the medical field has so conditioned us into, okay, if you have a thyroid problem, you take a thyroid meds. And if you have this problem, you take a that meds. When really we have to look at ourselves more holistically.
Right. That's right. You know, there's new ingredients, one called PQQ. I won't get into the technical name, but it's very big. It's being touted as helping the mitochondria inside the cell to repair. A lot of claims working on the genes. I don't think we're there yet, but in mouse studies, it's looking very good. We still have a ways to go on that too. But we have some exciting things coming up. But what do we know now? What do I feel we know enough now that is beneficial? I think it's the pectins. I think natural anti-inflammatories, that is green tea, curcumin, turmeric, gymnema, you know, keeping your blood sugar stable, those all are anti-aging in themselves. I'll say slowing the aging process and those blood sugar levels. But if you had told me I could only have 3 products from now on. Now, if I could eat a very healthy diet with a lot of veggies and all that, I know I'm getting my minerals and my vitamins, then I'm probably going to choose pectins. I might choose resveratrol and maybe CoQ10 or N-acetylcysteine, some kind of antioxidant. Now, if I'm not a person that's going to eat all those vegetables and all that, then it would be a green drink that has vitamins and minerals, something that encompasses all of it. In fact, I'm working on one right now. I'm very excited about. I've done some in the past that are still very good products, excellent products. I'm very proud of, but got a new thing coming up. So those are the things that I think are basis. You know, our fish oils, omega-3s, things that everybody's heard of, and not necessarily looking for what's the next biggest aha. Oh, I haven't heard of that. Let me start taking it. I think that we jump too quickly sometimes. It's the basics. They
totally
work.
in agreement. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement. And the research I think that fascinates me the most is the biodome. Just because, you know, since I started taking better care of my gut and taking more of those kind of enzymes, it's made an enormous difference. So
yeah, big proponent of enzymes. I've lectured for 16, 18 years on enzymes. I love them. I love them for a lot of different reasons, not just digestive, but systemic enzymes. Those are great. Those will be in my new deal. But they can get them now. And probiotics, and on the probiotic thing is, which one is the best? Again, it depends on the individual, which one your microbiome needs. And so I say rotate your probiotics. And, you know, every season your microbiome changes. It changes by the food we're eating seasonal. So now you need a different probiotic. Someday we're going to know what that looks like. And I'm very excited to jump onto that.
Yeah.
But for now, it's just rotate your probiotic brands and get different strains, different bugs, and different amounts. And I think that's the best way to go for now.
And I just to kind of close out here, I think kind of one of the messages I'm hearing from you is that we're all individual. And I think I think jumping on the bandwagon of what everybody's doing isn't necessarily going to work for you. And you have to figure out your own body and work with a professional if you need to, just to figure it out, because it's not straightforward. It's not one size fits all. It really does boil down to what's going to work for you. And you have to be willing to kind of get in there and figure it out. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we have tests to look at micronutrients. Are you deficient in a certain amino acid, proteins, right? The oils, the vitamins, the minerals. Then we know, do you actually need something on top of a basic multi? So I like really having individual information when I do my resource consultations or I do patients come in. That's where we go. Where are you as an individual and what do you need to do? Now, everybody needs to eat more vegetables, period. And drink more water, period.
Yeah.
And probably have more fish, unless you're allergic. And then we do another omega-3. Those are the basics. And exercise, don't forget about that. Extensive studies on anti-aging and skin tightening. So if we want our skin and we want our body to be good, it's the basics: exercise, water, stress control, and eat healthy. and then look for what makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. I so appreciate that. Thank you so much about Dr. Warden for talking about internal. Okay, so the next video, so ladies, stay tuned. I'm going to post the next video on external. What we can do external. We're going to talk about Botox and surgery and topical creams. We're going to go there. Okay, so everybody needs to tune into that one. But thank you so much, Dr. Warden, for joining me today on the Beauty Shaman.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, ladies, have a great day, and thanks so much for watching.